Howdy folks, me again. Another beautiful day in paradise. Today, yesterday we talked about, touched on the start of the sovereign journey, and that sovereignty is innate within you. You're born with that. There's no government, there's no higher authority than you. The whole journey's between you and God. So when that line was crossed a few years ago, we were all forced to make a stand on what we believed. And since then, the journey has just been not of fighting the system, which was what, when I left Horse Talk, it's really what I thought my next role was going to be. I'm not a big fan of the government, the authority to rule, what they're doing to our country, taxes, foreign investment, in ports. Anyway, that's you can go to war with that, but the older you get, the more you realise that Buddha talks about the middle path, and Bruce Lee talks about flowing like water. So the process is to flow with the change, but you've got to do it by standing up for what is right. And this, the young men that I need to talk to have got, they don't seem to have any decent male role models anymore. The whole system. I thought there were statesmen in the world. It appears the last one got a bullet put in his head in Dallas. But it all comes back to your spoken word. People are worried about all these things that are going on around the world, celebrities, fake wars, false flags, whatever you want to call it. Yet, you've got to bring it back down to how you were today, how you were with people today. Most people only interact with 5 or 10 people, so no point going to church on Sunday and you know praying for Ukraine or whatever your thing be. If you're a prick of a person, if you kick the cat, call the lady at the 7-Eleven a bitch, well, you're part of the problem, man. You've got to be impeccable with your word. And the first book I wrote, the scribe in the spoken world, how you speak is vitally important. You're in a simulation. Quantum physics proves that. We're just all energy vibrating at different levels. And when you use the terms I am, I have, it's a summons. I hear people say, God's not real because, bad things happen to good people. Yet I hear these good people, I hear them speaking. I was in the gambling industry for 25 years. Oh, I never win. I am so unlucky. I never get the big breaks. I'm a loser. In Cycle University. These are I am commands to the universe. That's how powerful you are. Nelson Mandela said it, it's not your darkness you're scared of, it's your light. You're a powerful master creator, and you do it with your tongue. You do it with your voice. You've got to construct it carefully. What you say about others, if we are one being with 7 billion faces, every time you point that finger of judgment out at somebody, it's a gun. It's one out and 3 straight back at you. You never do anything to anyone else, or anybody else doesn't do anything to you. You do it to you. So, being impeccable with your word. So somebody said the other day, just for 30 days, treat everybody you meet as though they were Jesus. And see how you interact with others. You do that for 30 days and you watch your world change. Because the quieter you get, the more you're careful with your words. You don't make promises you don't mean to keep. You don't use your words to manipulate. You use your words as correct conversation with all that is, because it'll create for you. But if you can't walk around saying life's shit, it's going to hell in a handbasket, and then not expect to see it. The world's not going to hell in a handbasket. The world's simply changing. It is simply changing, and you need to be the change in that. A little bit of discipline, checking in with yourself, as we discussed a couple of days ago with the full moon. You've got to be real with yourself. A simple exercise routine, even if it's, 4 different exercises and it's 3 sets of 15 or something. Just get up and get yourself into a disciplined space. And if you're working for somebody else, unless it's something you're absolutely passionate about, you've got to ask yourself a question. I heard Jordan Peterson talk about this the other day. What are you good at? What are you good at? What is your craft? What do you want to make? What do you want to do? What do you want to create? Or have you settled? And if you're just doing it because the money's good and it pays the bills and it's close to home or whatever, you're wasting your time. You've got to find what lights you up. Find something you love to do and do it until. That's what the Dalai Lama says. And for me, that was horse racing for nigh on 35 years of my life. And now it's writing and chatting to you guys. But the books I was inspired to write by a lady called Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote 3 or 4 books about 100 years ago, way ahead of her time. And the books are really in an old-fashioned speak, but it is a truth. And as the world shifts now, you'll hear me talk about Yeshua, but it's not Yeshua from the Bible. It's not the man who died for your sins. And I want to talk more of this because as I've got older, from being an atheist to probably 35, to understanding there's been a lot of the Bible. Again, it was written years and years, hundreds of years after, and Jesus didn't have a Bible, nor did he have a church. But, we always knew that he was a big name player. Even as a kid, BC and AD. I know it's not, AD is Latin, I know, but, after death it was, so we all knew pretty, that this dude was pretty outrageous. But a lot of things that he really taught are the Gnostic teachings, which Mary's on about, which is the God within. Why are you surprised at what I can do? You can do this and more, for you and the Father are one. This wasn't outside, this wasn't control. This was eating of the apple wasn't the greatest sin. It was turning wisdom, something you've read or heard, into knowledge. You can't tell people what an apple tastes like if you haven't tasted an apple. So it puts a whole slant on what he was teaching. And again, he's teaching about love everybody like your brother. But gee, he was a rebel. He was friends with rapists and murderers and the common men, and he preached love, man. Seems to be a thing. A lot of comedians have written about this. Anybody who preaches love gets a bullet in the fucking head. Anyway, if you want to know more about how to be impeccable with your speech and how that will change your world, just head to thesourceway.com The first book's 220 something pages, the second one's 300 something. I've got books 3 and 4 underway, and it's funny, been waiting and waiting, and it was middle of this year that I got my hand forced away from the old me, and sit down, and the books have just poured out of me. Just got to let go and trust the process sometimes. Anyway, till next time, Happy New Year. Peace.